It's a number that shows up in a lot of interesting ways. That score put the Panthers up 23-7. 83, the football number, 83 is the 23rd prime. So when he made this score, in my mind, I was like, I think that's like some sort of subtle tribute to football god, Cam Newton, football god, already immortalized in a statue where he played his college ball. There's not too many players playing today that have statues already made of them. Cam Newton does. And he's had it for years. So at halftime, they kicked the extra point. The score was 24-7. Some interesting things about the stats. I noticed Arizona had a combined 58 rushing yards playing against the Panthers, owned by Jerry Richardson, drafted in 58. This important number for Freemasonry. Carolina had a combined 81 rushing yards, and I wondered if that was a coincidence because the word gold in Jewish gematria equals 81. Gold is a major theme this year with Super Bowl 50. This year, the Super Bowl winner gets a giant gold number 50 with the 5 weighing 33 pounds and the 0 weighing 33 pounds for a total of 66 pounds. The first Super Bowl was played at the end of the 66th season. When you write out 50 in gematria, it sums to 66. See how they do all this by the numbers, Truth Seeker? That's why I know it's no joke. It's no coincidence. The other thing I noticed is that the first touchdown for Arizona was scored by David Johnson. And the first receiving touchdown for Carolina was scored by Corey Brown. And Corey Brown and David Johnson both have identical birthdays, December 16th, 1991. In the college championship, I showed this same type of symmetry with the players scoring the first touchdowns, the Heisman winner and the Heisman runner-up, Deshaun Watson, both having identical birthdays, identical birthday numerology. The life numbers on these guys, what stands out the most is the 119. Remember, all-seeing eye and Star of David both equal 119, the symbols of the Masons and Zionists. This year, CBS had the countdown 119 days towards the Super Bowl. CBS's symbol is even the all-seeing eye. Also, from these guys' birthdays to scoring in yesterday's games was a span of 39 days. Remember, Charlotte equals 39. Arizona equals 39. An important number to the founders of this nation, the Freemasons. The original signers on the Declaration, it was 39 of 55 signers. This year, the Denver Broncos are in their 55th year of existence. John Elway's 55 years old. 39 of 55. Manning's 39 years old. All things I've talked about over the year that I want to review in this video, just so you have all the significance of these numbers in your head and you can see the way these games are scripted. They are. The people who score the touchdowns are chosen for a reason. Near the end of the game, the Panthers went up 42-15 after a 2-point conversion. And ask yourself, Truth Seeker, is there any reason to go for a 2-point conversion when you're up this big with such little time? 41-15, if they just kicked the extra point, would have been a 26-point lead with 5.5 minutes left. Monster margin. 41 also would have made sense according to the numerology, but the reason they put on 42 is for a racist reason, which is the reason this is the Super Bowl in the first place. The word nigger has a gematria of 42, and that's why they have a Black Panther versus a white Bronco for a Super Bowl. The people who control this are extremely racist and are trying to provoke a race war. This Super Bowl is part of their symbolism. 42 represents nigger. That's why they had them score it this way. What this reminded me of is that the Broncos in history played against the Washington Redskins, which had the first black starting quarterback in a Super Bowl in the history of the NFL. And the Redskins won that Super Bowl 42-10, a sum of 52 points. This year the Super Bowl's in California, which has gematria of 52. Think about this. George Washington, a 33rd degree Freemason. Washington, D.C. is named after George Washington. So is Washington State, the 42nd state. Washington's the 42nd state. The Redskins won 42-10. Also, George Washington was born on the 42nd day of the year in the time of the Julian calendar in his lifetime. The word Freemason also equals 42. Freemasons believe in conquering through dividing. That's why so many divisive terms, such as the N-word, have gematria of 42. Words such as bitch also have gematria of 42. Words such as honky. The words that divide us have the Freemason coding. Anyhow, the Broncos will now be facing another black quarterback in Super Bowl 50. The Super Bowl between the Broncos and Redskins that was played January 31st, 1988, a date with 139 numerology like Freemasonry, a date with 58 numerology like Freemasonry. Cam Newton will be the 58th QB to start in a Super Bowl. A date with 31 numerology, 31 the 11th prime. Some interesting symmetry there with a previous Broncos Super Bowl of historical significance. Also, part of the race war coding, I don't think this story was any coincidence. This comes out of a suburb of Phoenix near where the Cardinals play. Supposedly on Friday, some girls at a Arizona high school did this picture for their yearbook. Just think about it. This is just before they play the Black Panthers. The high school was Ahwatukee, having gematria of 32, like NFL. Notice how they also blurred out the GG. NI and ER both have the gematria of 59, another number negatively stamped on black Americans. Negro equals 59, slave equals 59, blues equals 59. Ahwatukee, the big way, equals 95, the reflection. N's the 14th letter, 1 plus 4 becomes 5. I's the 9th, so NI represents 5-9 in Pythagorean gematria. E's the 5th letter, R's the 18th, 1 plus 8 becomes 9. ER represents 5-9. As for the final score of yesterday's game, the game started at 640. 640. And the final score summed to 64 points. 49-15. Of course, the 49ers are hosting. This is the end of the 2015-16 season. Anyhow, with the sum of 64 and the 640 start time, it made me think of this. Barack Hussein Obama equals 64. Civil rights equals 64. The Civil Rights Act happened in 64. The stadium, Levi's Stadium, has gematria 46, perfect for the 46th Super Bowl of the modern era. With the S exceptions, it also sums to 64. And with just the S exception on the capital S, it equals 55. This is the 55th year of the Broncos' existence. Again, major tributes to Chicago as well. Ron Rivera on the 15-1 Bears that defeated the Patriots 46-10. He now coaches the 15-1 Panthers. But again, Chicago 46. Also, they went up with this score 49-15 at the time 5-11. This reminds me of Cam Newton's birthday, which is May 11th, the 131st day of the year. And again, Super Bowl equals 131, championship equals 131. The Carolina Panthers were established in the year 93. Saturn, the keeper of time, has gematria of 93. It also has gematria of 511, a lot like Cam Newton's birthday, a lot like the time they went up by this special score. In the religion Thelema, which has gematria of 64, they worship the number 93. Thelema, connection to 64 like the score, they worship the number 93. This is how it's all scripted. I know it might seem mind-blowing, impossible to sync it up this way, but this is how they do it. They are executing according to a plan. Carson Palmer at this point in the game had 33 attempts for 187 yards, the homicide code. I don't think that was any coincidence. Two of Carolina's leading receivers had 113 yards. Corey Brown had that long play of 86 receiving yards on the 88-yard drive. 86, a special number. Symbol, triangle, and pyramid all equal 86. 88 equals California equals Coldplay, who's the halftime show. And with regards to that 113, that's more Masonic coding. Scottish Rite Freemasonry is what created football. The word Scottish has a gematria of 113, the top two receivers with 113 receiving yards. Greg Olsen, a player who started his career on the Chicago Bears. Something else that made me laugh, the first Cardinal receiver to catch a touchdown was Darren Fells, and Wikipedia has a very interesting picture of him. He wears the number 85. 85, major theming with this year's Super Bowl. The 85 Bears, again, that Ron Rivera played on for the Carolina Panthers. And if you missed my video on Jerry Maguire, the film that came out in '96, let me just clue you in on what you missed. The main character in that film, Rod Tidwell, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., wears the number 85 through the whole movie. He has a gold necklace with 85. He's also number 85 on the Cardinals. In this movie was Glenn Fry, who played the character Dennis Wilburn. How about Fry and Wilburn? Anyway, Glenn Fry just died. In this movie, he's the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals. The main character, Rod Tidwell, has name gematria. Tidwell's 85, like his number special to the Bears. Rod Tidwell equals 122, like San Francisco. And as I pointed out in this video, from watching this, you might think it's a lock that the Cardinals are in the Super Bowl. But what happens at the very end when Rod Tidwell gets his big contract, is it flashes to his brother, who's in a Black Panther t-shirt. This is at the end of the movie, Jerry Maguire, that came out in '96. Remember, the word Freemason equals 96. Cam Newton's full name equals 96. Black Panther Party, the BPP, has gematria of 122, just like San Francisco. And this movie ends with a Black Panther tribute, which to me really does show how well this is planned out and thought out. This means that before this movie was made, the Super Bowl for this year was planned. San Francisco equals 50. They're hosting Super Bowl 50. When you write out 50, it sums to 66. Again, the Black Panther Party established in '66 by Huey P. Newton. The Carolina Panthers led by Cam Newton. Cam Newton was just a child when this movie came out. But it was all planned back then. Also in San Francisco in '66, the Church of Satan was established that year. The word Satan has gematria of 55. The Broncos are 55 years old this year. Show me the money's the big tagline from the movie Jerry Maguire, having gematria of 71, just like Super Bowl 50. Lots of Catholic connections, big things for the Catholic Church this past year in Chicago. The score became 17-0 when the Panthers had a 86-yard touchdown reception, capping off an 88-yard touchdown drive. Again, I just want you to see that California equals 88, Coldplay equals 88. As I pointed out last spring, they're recreating the Rodney King riots with the Freddie Gray story. The only two states with a gematria of 88 are California and Maryland. Rodney King happened in California. The beating was 3-3, March 3rd, by the LAPD police. LAPD and police both have gematria of 33. The Freddie Gray story happened last spring in Maryland. And trust me, that story's still brewing. There's more to come from that story. It's recreating history by the numbers. They do it with football. They do it with the mainstream news. Before the game, they also put up these stats. What stood out right away for me was the 39 and the 46 for the touchdowns. Remember, Charlotte and Arizona both equal 39. Chicago equals 46, the major Chicago theming. And Cam Newton emerged victorious. All week, people were trolling me. New YouTube channels were created to mock my work and try to pull people towards the Cardinals, but I saw through it. You might have missed it. There was a guy who showed up who did all of his videos in a room with a picture of Carson Palmer on the wall. All of his videos were in an Arizona hat with a Cardinals jersey. He wore big, thick glasses, and he talked in a funny voice like this, and he kept saying, "I know that it's guaranteed for the Cardinals." That person was probably a paid-for shill by the NFL to try and throw people off the path. I saw through it. It was too apparent. The guy appeared out of nowhere, and what he was doing was making a mockery of my work. He kept saying the same thing.